Eventually, we all face the day that a loved one passes away. If you are named in the will or the trust, what are your rights and what should you do to protect those rights? Here to discuss this issue is my law partner, Michael Solomon.
Hi, Laurie.
Welcome back to the show. Sure. So when someone passes away, what's the first thing that happens as to the will and trust? Is there a reading of the will?
Well, that really only happens in the movies. We don't really gather everyone around and then take the will out and the trust out and start reading it to them. We'll typically provide the beneficiaries with a copy of the will, a copy of the trust, and they do have a legal right to see all of that. And sometimes, depending on the facts, we'll bring some of the people in, maybe all of them in, and kind of tell them what's going to happen, the procedures, and what to expect in the documents.
Okay, so then what happens after that?
Well, let's assume you go through probate, for example. Let me focus mostly on the surviving spouse. Now, first, after a notice that the will has been probated comes out, you have 3 months to dispute, to contest the will. Now, that, by the way, applies not only to the surviving spouse, but to any of the potential heirs. So that's number one. But number two, a surviving spouse has some special rights. Number one, they can elect against the terms of the will and get between 1/3 and 1/2 of the probated estate. So even if the will says the assets go here, they can ignore the will and get that. A surviving spouse has a right to live in the primary residence for up to a year. So that's a special right. They have a right to inherit certain assets, like a car, for example. And they have a right to challenge, prenuptial agreements or separation agreements. All of these rights have very short time frames, so you have to be very careful not to lose those time frames.
Okay, so how about other beneficiaries?
Well, the other beneficiaries have rights also. They have a right to see the will and the trust. They have a right to dispute the will and the trust. They have a right to know what assets are in the estate. They have a right to do an accounting. They have a right to see to approve the distribution of the assets. So they have lots of rights. They have plenty of rights. You just need, again, there are time limits. So if you want to enforce your rights, you need to make sure you focus on those time limits.
Okay. Now, I know sometimes their trusts are drafted to last a long time. Like sometimes I'll have trusts that don't go out right to the children. They stay in trust until the grandchildren are there to take it. So what rights do grandchildren have?
Well, they can have a lot of rights, but one of the things you can do that's a little bit different from when the people are going to receive the assets later is you can say they don't automatically get a copy of the trust. They don't automatically get notices of an accounting of the trust. So they still have a right to ask for that stuff, but they don't automatically get it. But Ohio has a little provision in the law that most states don't have. You can actually draft a trust that provides, in this example you gave, the grandchildren don't know the existence of the trust. You keep it private and quiet. It's called a quiet trust.
I don't want to be one of those grandchildren.
That's right. So it doesn't happen that often. Most people don't do something like that. And in many aspects, it's not that practical, but it is, in very limited situations, a tool that some people can provide for.
All right. If you're the beneficiary of a will or trust, you should learn your rights and make sure they are protected. For more help, give Mike a call. The number's next.
Call Solomon, Steiner and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information or to schedule a speaker for your organization. Or log on to www.ssnplaw.com.
Thanks for joining us. Come back next week. But until then, please remember to make the most of your golden opportunities.
If you'd like to join our kitchen conversation, visit our website, www.goldenopportunities.tv. Like us on Facebook. Call us at 440-742-GO-TV or email us at kitchen@goldenopportunities.tv. We'd love to hear from you.
Golden Opportunities is paid for by Elder Productions.